morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well. So this live stream is more planned than the one I did yesterday evening, my time. So for those of you who saw yesterday's live stream, I am going to go over that information again, but in a lot more detail. But for those who didn't see the live stream, it doesn't matter because we're going to start from the top. So whichever way it goes, whichever camp you're in, whether you saw it or you didn't, we're going to cover a lot of ground today. We're going to try to make some headway in understanding what actually happened with the search dogs in the Sebastian Rogers case. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to try and untangle it all. We're going to play as all the clips that I can find relating to search dogs. Not every single one, but as many as makes the picture a little bit clearer. So I'm going to say a couple of hellos first, just to give people a chance to come in. And next door's dog's barking. Don't know whether you can hear her or not. She stopped now. Hello, Mike, from a snowy island. Yes, it's snowy here as well. It's not the kind of weather that I enjoy. It's fine when it's all white and fluffy, but when it freezes, it's just general slush at the moment. It was quite deep this morning, but it's already melting. But if it freezes tonight, it's going to be treacherous. Linda, hello. The case gets darker. Well, yeah. It's not necessarily darker. I don't think the case is a dark one at all. I think the case is one that has been badly abused by social media. I think that's what the problem is. Hello, Holly, from a snowy, cold East Tennessee. Well, we're all getting the same weather, I think. Elizabeth, hello, from a cold Ohio. Angie, baby, good afternoon to you. The huge heap of earth, what's this? The huge heap of earth on Doversley Court kept getting more added to the weeks after Sebastian's disappearance. Really? That's interesting. I'll show you where Doversley Court is for those who don't know. So Doversley Court is this one. So this is the Google Maps image from, just let me make my screen bigger. This is the Google Maps image from July 2023, when only a handful of houses were built. This is Willow Bend. So this is the construction site. This is where the construction site is right now. But in July 2023, all of this was also construction. So you got Willow Bend, and then this one's Doversley Court. And it does have a name. Like the road was already in. Presumably they got the drainage in and stuff, but no houses were up. Juxtapose that with this. This is just a screenshot from what it's like now. This is the updated Google image. This is what it's like now. So you can see here, Doversley Court. This is Doversley Court here. And it's finished. All the houses are done. So it makes sense that between July 2023, when there was nothing, and then what it's like now, but yeah, they were a huge amount of construction went on Doversley Court. So it makes sense that they were moving earth around and doing all sorts of things. And that's all very concerning for what we're going to talk about today. All very concerning. Who else have we got in the house? Let's just have another quick shufty here. Osland, hello. Have to inform anyone. Oh, yes. Yes, so relating to the Delphi case, Defence Diaries, who've covered the Delphi case, kind of from a defence lawyer's perspective, and Bob from Defence Diaries was there for the entire trial. They have all of Richard Allen's defence team on their show next week individually. So the schedulers are already up on Defence Diaries. So there's Jennifer Auger, then Andy Baldwin, and then Brad Rosie. So 3 interviews, 3 separate days. So that's going to be huge to listen to. I'm going to be staying up for that. Because they will be happening in the middle of the night, my time. But I will be staying up 3 nights in a row to listen to those live. I need to. Hello, Captain. And who else have we got? We got Mike. I'm sure after seeing multiple law enforcement vehicles, dogs, and probably giving a heads up over radio looking for a missing child, they're more alert. Don't know what you really mean. $700 an hour, workers may have buried him. Hope not. All right, let's get going. But hello, everyone else. You're going to stay up as well? Heidi from Louisiana. Hello, CW. We got Lucky. We got Bug Love. We got Broken Goth Doll. I said I was going to stop the hellos, but I'm still going. Hello, Amy Lou. Right, I'm definitely going now. All right, so what's all the new fuss about? Well, SF Investigates, who is the private investigator working on Sebastian's case. Some of you like him, some of you don't. That's up to you. That's entirely up to you. I take all information and consider it. Unless it's drama, unless it's complete BS, and then I don't. Then I just make videos about it being sarcastic, i.e. at night, private, lack of intelligence. I don't take anything they say seriously because they're using internet rumours. They've got a tip line, people are ringing in internet rumours, and they're running with them. That's what's going on there. I can guarantee you that, in my opinion, allegedly. But no, that's actually what is going on. Sue me at night if you want to. Sue me. All right, so SF Investigates posted this. Thank you, Electro, for the $1.99. It's very kind of you. So he posted this 9.5-minute video from a house on Kelling Lane. So, and it's looking onto the construction site. I'm not sure that the hill on the construction site is so round like that. Like it is a little bit hilly, but I think it's the lens that makes it look like that. But anyhow, not to worry. He posted this, and in this corner here, you see Max, the German Shepherd, who was the first dog on scene and who is mentioned on the dispatch audio. The dispatch audio from the morning of the 26th of February, the day that Sebastian was reported missing. Sebastian was reported missing on 6:33. The call to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office came in, and then the first responders were heading to the scene within 9 minutes. All right, so that's what set the cat amongst the pigeons. Also, some things that SF has said. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Ken Widener said. And I'm going to try and make sense of it all. So starting right from the beginning, this is Max. This is Max here. He's a German Shepherd. He's not a Belgian Malinois. Neither is Rex. Somebody else in my comments said that I don't know my dog breeds because even though Max might be a German Shepherd, Rex is a Belgian Malinois. No, he isn't. He's a German. I'm telling you, he's a German Shepherd. Now, could he be a mix? Yes, he could be a mix, I guess. He could be a mix, but he looks a lot like a German Shepherd to me. This, on the other hand, is a Belgian Malinois. This is Nova, the Belgian Malinois. She's one of my daughter's dogs. This is a Belgian Malinois. So they're cousins of the German Shepherd. They come from kind of the same ancestral line. They're both, historically, were used as livestock herding dogs and protection dogs for livestock. But because they've got that guarding instinct and that loyalty towards their flock, they make very good protection dogs. Belgian Malinois have been less affected by bad breeding because they've been less popular. And they have maintained a very sleek, very light kind of physique. So they're a bit smaller. They can actually be quite tall, but their body, they're thinner boned, they're sleeker, they're more athletic than German Shepherds. But because we only see the faces here of Max and Rex, what you notice about the face of a German Shepherd is that, yes, they do have a long muzzle, but the entire face is wider than a Malinois. Now, obviously, there's variation between the breeds. Some German Shepherds are smaller than others. Some Malinois are thicker set than others. But the two breeds are easily distinguishable if you know your dog breeds. Now, could Rex be a mix? Yes. There's a lot of Mali JSD mixes out there. But I'm telling you, he's not a Mali. He's not a purebred Mali. Unless someone gives me a DNA test showing that Rex is a Mali, I'm going to die on the hill because he's a German Shepherd. Could he be a little bit Mali? Yeah, but he's a sable German Shepherd. I think the issue is the colour, perhaps. That's not throwing people off. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for the $10. Thank you, thank you. All right, so, but this is Max. And what Max does is this. This is on Instagram. This was when both Max and Rex were donated to Sumner County. This is the account AKC Reunite. I found this when the dispatch audio came out. I wanted to know what Max did, what his role was in Sumner County. So I found this. So the Sumner County Sheriff's Office in Gallatin, Tennessee, has received the new canines, Max and Rex. Max works alongside handler Deputy Justin Rice, while Rex is with Deputy Taylor Callis. Both canines have been trained in non-aggressive tracking and narcotics detection. So that's what Max does, tracking and narcotics detection, which is just basically scent work. So both Max and Rex are both trained scent dogs. They both can track, so track humans, and also they can find narcotics. So the dual purpose, human tracking and narcotics. No, it doesn't confuse them. It just, dogs are very good at determining different scents. It doesn't confuse them. So as a team, they have already tracked a suicidal case safely. With the help of the United States Police Canine Association, the Sheriff's Office was awarded one AKC Unite Adopt a Canine COP grant in the summer of 2022 and a second grant at the beginning of 2023. So that's where Max and Rex come from. Presumably they're a training facility and you can get a grant. And if you're awarded a grant, you get a dog. All right. So non-aggressive tracking, what is that? That's not protection work. Even though I'm guessing, given their breed, and they're a very protective breed, our German Shepherds, I guess they can turn their hand to protection work, but their tracking capability is one of non-aggressive tracking. What does that mean? Well, yeah, even though they could track an offender, if an offender runs off, they could track them, but it means that they're used in missing persons cases where they're not there to apprehend an offender, they're there to find them. All right? So non-aggressive tracking, that's what that means. So that's Max's role. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to show you is SF Investigates video that he posted on Twitter yesterday. I've zoomed it in. Now, I did show a version of this in my live stream yesterday, but I've redone it. I've redone it to show the whole panorama. The reason why I've done it like this is because I want to know where Max went. Now, we know where Max went based on the dispatch audio, but I kind of lose him in the trees. Hey, you got a Beauceron. Beaucerons are cool dogs. I know a Beauceron. So there's a white German Shepherd. No, they're not. White German Shepherds used to be culled. They used to be so maligned, like amongst German Shepherd breeders, and they're still not a colour that can be shown. They're not a showable colour, but thankfully, less people cull white German Shepherds these days. But I think white German Shepherds get confused with Huskies. Anyhow, yeah, I lose Max in the trees. So I'm going to play this. There's no audio to it. Like on SF's video, there's audio, like SF's talks through it. So I played that yesterday if you want to go and watch that. Or just go to SF Investigates on Twitter and watch that. But so there's no audio on this. And I've started it at the point where Max appears on the scene. So this is a house on Kelling. So if you look at the kind of I don't know why it says that. I don't go away. There we go. You can see from the full picture, like I've zoomed it in, but you can see from the full picture that this is someone's backyard. And it's one of the houses that backs onto the construction site. So it's one of these up here. So it's the top of Kelling. So if we just turn this around and look like this, you can, if you zoom right in, you can see that there is a hill. That is a hill there, but I don't know that it's as rounded as it looks on that footage. I think it's just a lens. But it's one of these houses that backs onto the construction site. So I don't know exactly which house it was. But presumably, Max and his handler turn up in an SUV. They must park here somewhere. And then what you see is Max coming along. He goes down, he goes up, and then it kind of disappears along the crest of this hill by the look of things. And then the retention pond where he dives into is here. You can see that better on... I've got so many windows open. You can see that better on here. That's the retention pond there. And this is the track, the controversial track that we're going to talk about that the dogs did. Some of the dogs did, but it's controversial. It's even more controversial now, given what SF has said. But I think I understand what's going down here. I think I do. Right? It's my interpretation, but by the end of this live stream, you'll be able to tell me your interpretation of what I'm telling you. Candace Lee, a member for 32 months. Good morning to you. Mods, why slow mode? I've put slow mode on so that if we get an influx of trolls, it will be easier for the mods to deal with while I'm talking. So I put slow mode on, not the mods. I put slow mode on. So you can only make a comment every 20 seconds. But it's simply to help the mods if we get an influx of trolls. If we don't, then you can post every 20 seconds. Members can post to your heart's content. I don't think it stops members posting. I don't think it stops mods posting. So it's simply just to make life a little bit easier, just in case we get trolls, because there's these sides that are developed that are nasty. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. All right. So the retention ponds here. So it looks like, now this is from right now. This was December. You can see here Doversley Court's finished, Willow Ben's finished, and there's even new houses starting, like they're part finished houses. So this is from last month. This screenshot is the Google image from last month. Now, in February, these weren't here. And none of this was here. All right, so Max came along here. I think he went down here, up here, along here, and then he dove into the pond. Is this near where the lights were seen? No. The lights were seen. The lights are from here. Wrong direction. So this is Doversley Court. This is where the retention pond is. This is where Max was here. The lights are pointing in this direction from being seen on the camera from this house. So this is the camera. The camera from this house caught the lights. Now, whether you want to say that it's a garbage truck over on Honeysuckle, which was what Seth and Chris were told, or whether you think it's a flashlight. One thing we absolutely know, and I've talked about at some length, and we're not going to address that topic today, but all of the guff that Mob Crew has been talking about, he is wrong. The lights were not in here. The lights were not in here. The lights were over here. Well, actually one light. There's only one moving light in that entire footage. There's only one moving light. The others are security lights on houses. But the visual angle of this is kind of like this. You can't see down the backs of these houses. The flashlights were not down here. All right, so that's all I'm going to say. But no, in answer to the question there, the lights are in a completely opposite direction to the construction site. All right, so I'm going to play this footage here, and I'm gonna ask you if you can find Max. Like after he disappears into the trees, I think they go over the crest of the hill. But the hill isn't like. I think this is just the lens on this camera. Right, the hill is not that steep. But anyway, all right. So we're starting it again. This is a zoomed in version of SF Investigates video, and we're starting it at the point that Max comes into view. So there's no audio on this. This is SF's cursor. So there's Max. So he goes down, sniffs around here. There's his handler. Max is using all his senses at this point. Like, he's looking around, but he does have his nose down. And then once he comes back into view, he picks up a pace. There's his handler. So they're going quite slow at the moment, but watching a minute, you see them going through the trees up here. And look at the pace that they pick up. Look, he's on a proper trot. Max is trotting. So start that again. So comes into view. He's walking. Wanders about. He's sniffing. He's looking up. He's probably air scenting. He's listening. He's attentive. But then once he gets up here, he puts his nose down and he trots along. And you just see him moving quickly through the trees. Now, this is real time. I haven't sped this up. I haven't slowed it down. This is the speed at which SF released this footage. But you see them at a trot coming through here. There he is. He's not running, but he's trotting. He's trotting. Now, they go off the screen. Now, I'll move this screen along in a minute to try and relocate them. I think they go over the crest of the hill, so they're no longer viewable on the camera. But you can see there's a lot of trees, so you kind of lose them in the trees. But they've come up here at a trot. Stardust Shorty, member for 26 months. Thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm going to move it along right to the end. And I don't see Max or his handler again. Whether it's because he's run to the pond, like he's already in the pond by this point, or whether they're still hidden by a tree somewhere. Personally, I think the pace that Max picked up, I think he ran straight to the pond at that point, which you can't see on this camera. But when it gets to the end of this viewpoint here, you'll see that Max is nowhere to be seen. Max is a good boy. If only he could speak. Yeah, absolutely. If only he could speak. So this area here, I think, just let me stop this a minute. I think it's this area. So we've got like a view of like this part here. I think that's what we're seeing. So once Max goes over the crest of this hill, you can no longer see him because the retention pond's here. And I think that dip that you see is here. It could possibly be here, but it's in that area. And I think Max has already gone. And he'll already be at the pond. Because when I'm going to play the dispatch audio next, there is a big excavator working. Yeah, there. If only those trees weren't there. Like the trees are the ones along the property lines. So there's a lot of kind of work activity going on. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they didn't shut the construction site down. I thought they did. I genuinely thought they did. That must have just been my assumption that they did. It must have just been my assumption because apparently they didn't. And you can see it very clearly on here. Now, the timing of this is Max is first mentioned on the dispatch audio at 7:50. But by 7:50, he'd already dove into the pond. So I think probably Max appeared on scene probably about 7:45. So about 7:45-ish. So this area is kind of the end of SF's footage. So I don't know what that is. Right, kind of, and because I don't think that this lens is true to reality. I think it's like bent the world a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to navigate as to what this is. But Max is gone. Max is not on this camera after they disappear into the trees at a brisk pace. But let's listen to the dispatch audio. Let me find it. Hold on a minute. Dispatch audio. Here we go. So many of you will have heard this already. I've been through the entire day on 2 different live streams. No, there's no sound on that video. I didn't record the audio on the video. If you want to hear SF's words, then go to either my live stream from last night, where I played just straight the way through without my commentary, SF's 9-minute video, or just go to SF Twitter, which is right here. SF Investigates on Twitter. SF Investigates Steve Fisher. So his handle is at night, at SF_investigates. I've got at night on the flaming brain, but that's his handle, at SF_investigates. So that's his profile there. So he does talk through like his opinion. So if you want that, please do go and listen to that. When I recorded this, like the zoomed in version, I didn't record the audio so that I could kind of talk over without having to keep stopping. I'm interested to know what this is here. But you can see there's a lot of vehicles. Now, they start arriving about 6 o'clock, these vehicles. So it seems that the construction site starts to come to life about 6 o'clock. But the time that Max arrives is just before 7:50. So I would say probably 7:45. Like they come from just off camera. Once they're on camera, Max lingers around. Right, we'll play it again. He lingers a little bit. He's kind of just walking. Lingers around a little bit here, looks around using all his senses. But once he sets off, he's trotting, and he trots up here at a fair pace. And to me, that indicates that Max is going somewhere. Max is on a mission. So Max feels that he sniffs something interesting. And at this point, he dives into the retention pond, as you'll hear on the dispatch audio in a minute. So you can see there, he's trotting at a fair pace. His handler's following him. All right, so let's listen to what that actually sounds like on the dispatch audio. So the dispatch audio, I play this from Jessica Danielle's channel, who's only had 10k views since April. This has been out since April the 8th. So this is the first time there was any mention of Max in the case, and it was at this point that I went and investigated who Max was and found that Instagram profile. So let's listen to what the dispatch audio says here. So what Jessica Danielle did was she condensed 11 hours of police scanner dispatch audio into 20 minutes. Now, the reason why she could do that is because when you listen to a police scanner, it's mainly silence. Like there's nothing going on. It's only when people speak, and they can be minutes apart. So she spent a long time putting this together. So it's probably the best video that I've seen on the case. Honestly, at least the most useful video that I've seen on the case. The fact that she did this, and the fact that she's only had 10k views in 8 months, and given the amount of people that have been interested in this case, I think it's a real shame. Anyway, okay, so this is where Max's handler makes his first announcement. So it's 7:50, so I'm at probably a couple of seconds before. There we go. I'm actually right on the money here. All right, so he says, Max did track back up.
I said, personal medical center, ER, Center Station, ER, Center Regional, ER, Anti-Line, all clear of the juvenile. You can see that the code red has them on at 7:45.
Max did track back up, going into the construction site over here, back towards the beach.
All right, so Max did track back up, going to the construction site or through the construction site, back towards beach, which is exactly what we see on SF's video. Because if we look at the map, Max starts here. So Beach High School is here. And then the church, I think, is called Beach. Beach Cumberland Presbyterian. So Max did track up, back up through the construction site, back towards Beach. That's exactly the direction that we see Max traveling on that video from SF. So Max did track back up. So he comes down here somewhere, sniffs around here, goes up here, and then we lose him somewhere here. Retention pond is here. All right, and going in the direction of beach. But what comes next is the most important thing, in my opinion. Okay.
Awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? Couldn't have any shoes. I do have some footprints. Right there where you're standing? Yeah. Leading right over here to the retaining. No shoes, just footprints. He literally dove into it.
So Jessica Daniels put subtitles on here, and she's got this wrong. He says he literally dove into it. So dove into the pond, and that becomes clear in a second when he reiterates.
Max led me straight to the retaining pond.
Max led me straight to the retaining pond.
Into the water.
Behind Willow Boulevard, which is actually Willow Bend, and dove right into the water. Now, Jessica Danielle doesn't have subtitles for that. She mustn't have been able to understand it. But after a millionth listen, that's exactly what he said. Let's play that again. So this had already happened. Like, this is Max's handler, like, reporting over the radio, over the scanner, what Max did. So he'd already done it by then. So that means that Max must have arrived on scene around 7:45-ish.
Yeah.
Because he'd already done this by 7:50. And then his handler made another announcement at 7:55.
Leading right over here to the retaining. No shoes, just footprints. He literally dove into it. Max led me straight to the retaining pond. Into the water.
So Max led me straight to the retaining pond behind Willow Boulevard, but it's Willow Bend, and dove straight into the water. So again, on the map, actually, it's better to look at this one. This is the retaining pond right here. This is Willow Bend. So the retaining pond behind Willow Bend, which is here. Willow Bend up to here. I think that actually might be Willow Bend as well. But behind Willow Bend. So he tracked. Max did track back up. through the construction site towards Beach. This is Beach High School. You've got Beach Church here. And then he dove into the pond behind Willow Bend. So we know we're at the right pond. That pond was drained by law enforcement. It was also walked by law enforcement. And it was also, about a month later, it was walked by Trey from North Divers. Like, it was just thick mud at the bottom of that retention pond. Like, really thick mud. But Trey spent an hour walking it and pulled out some stuff, but none of it related to Sebastian. So I'm confident that Sebastian's body is not in this retention pond. I'm confident of that. The fact that it was drained and it was walked twice leads me to believe that, you know, there's no areas of quicksand that people might have missed, and nobody's gone in there and buried a body in a pond. So I'm pretty confident that he's not there. All right. So that's Max. Now, so once again, this is Max. He was the first responding dog on scene. Now, I've never been entirely clear whether Max had a scent article. So when Max tracked and he put on a turn of speed, he put on a trot. I'm used to spaniels. So Max's movements are very slow to me because I'm used to spaniels. Spaniels go everywhere. Like trot is like slow for a spaniel. Spaniels go everywhere at top speed. But the fact that Max changed his demeanor from using all his senses, like looking around, sniffing around, he would have been air scenting, so scenting in the air, and then he just set off trotting, leads me to believe that he was following something. Now, he's a non-aggressive tracking dog, but it's not clear whether Max was given an article of Sebastian's. There was time for Max's handler to have done that because the call came in at 6:33 and then Max turned up at the construction site around 7:45. So there's an hour and a few minutes where they could have gone to the house and asked Katie for a sock or a shoe or something for Max to sniff, but it's unclear. And SF Investigates also doesn't know whether Max was given a scent article. The other dogs were, though. The other dogs that followed the track that we've all kind of pondered, they were scent specific. So I'm going to play you. What shall I play first? I'm going to play what Ken Widener said first. So Ken Widener is the chief of Sumner County EMA, so the emergency people in Sumner County. So this is Ken. This is now Sheriff Eric Craddock. He was chief deputy at the time in February, but the sheriff died, so Eric has stepped up, so he's now sheriff. So it's what Ken says about the dogs that is interesting. So this is the press conference from the 29th of February. So this is 4 days into the search. This will be day 4. So they searched all day, the 26th, then 27th, 28th, 29th. So it's day 4 of the search. So it's the question and answers part of the press conference, and a question is asked about the dogs and what they've been doing.
Was any of the canines able to pick up on his scent or something that can lead you to maybe a direction where he might have been?
We've done that. We've actually cast the dogs at intersections to see if they take us. And our dogs are scent specific.
So our dogs are scent specific. So the dogs that belong to Sumner County EMA are scent specific. Now, Max belongs to Sumner County Sheriff's Office. So Max is a different team. Max and Rex belong to the Sheriff's Office. But Ken Widener is talking about the dogs that they have with Sumner County EMA. They are scent specific. And when he says they tried casting the dogs at intersections, that's a common tactic where they'll take a dog to a junction on a road or a junction on a path, and they'll start the dog from there to see if they can pick up a direction. If they've got no idea which way to go, that's what they'll do. So that was one thing they did. So our dogs are scent specific.
And we have sent articles from the home.
We have sent articles from the home. So they used, I think, a shoe and socks. I think that's what they used. So they basically bag up an article. That shoes and socks are good to use because nobody touches the insides of shoes, like nobody other than the person wearing them touches the insides of shoes, and they collect scent. They hold scent very well. Use socks as well. They can use underwear. They can use pillows, pillowcases, anything where somebody's body will have been very close to that article, and they have to obviously use an unwashed one, because once you put an article in the laundry, then it mixes with, you know, other person's laundry, unless you are living on your own, and then I guess. But they use unwashed, like used articles. So I believe in Sebastian's case, they used a shoe and a sock.
And they have not. We have gotten some tracks away from the home.
We have gotten some tracks away from the home. So casting them at intersections, they didn't get anywhere with that, but they did get some tracks away from the home with Sumner County's scent-specific dogs.
And we haven't had anything that leads us to Sebastian, obviously.
But we haven't had anything that leads us to Sebastian. So that's what he said, and that's very clear. We have some tracks away from the home. Feel they need the contemplation log. Yeah, I need the contemplation log as well. If this snow buzzes off, I might go to the contemplation log tomorrow. I don't know. If the snow doesn't buzz off, then I won't. I don't fancy sliding down any hills, honestly. All right. So they got some tracks away from the home. Now, that made perfect sense to me, given this phone call. Now, this is Trey from North Divers. He's the one that walked to the retention pond. He's done a lot of searching around the area. So he had a phone call with Chris Proudfoot. So this was posted on April the 9th. Now, I don't know exactly when this phone call was. I assume it's around that time. So this is incredibly difficult to hear. Like, the audio is really bad. So Chris is on the phone. They're at the construction site. So you can see here, these are newly done houses. I think that might be Doverley Court there. The retention pond, I think's over here, or I think the retention pond's over here. Anyway, so Trey's at the construction site. Calls Chris. Chris is on the phone. He's got Chris on speaker, and then someone is recording Trey talking to Chris. So you can barely hear Chris. Even the subtitles don't do very much good. However, I think you can make out enough to hear the gist of the conversation. All right. So I've got the subtitles on. If you can't hear Chris at all, I'll try and interpret, because this is something that I've listened to a lot. But the first couple of minutes, there's nothing of interest, and there's a period in here where the camera person isn't close enough, like, so you literally don't hear anything from Chris. So I'm starting it here from around the 2-minute mark, and we'll listen to this. And what Chris says about what he was told about the dogs is what we're getting at here, what we're listening to this for. And by the way, every link that I'm playing you, every single link is already in the description box. So if you want to go and play these back in your own time, they're all there in the description box, and go and listen to them again in your own time if you want to. All right, so this is Trey from Naught Divers talking to Chris Proudfoot.
How much they actually drain?
They drain the whole thing.
It's okay.
So initially, when they went over to look at it, it was only knee deep.
He's talking about the retention pond right now. So initially went to look at it, it was only knee deep, but they did drain it.
From the picture that you showed me, there's a lot of new runoff.
Yeah, that's what
from where they're cutting. Yeah.
Trying to figure out. I was like, I don't know how shallow it was before or after.
Yeah. I'm 5'9", and it was knee deep.
Okay.
So he's 5'9" and it was knee deep on him. Thank you, Catherine, for gifting a membership. Thank you so much. And we have Alabama Nana has been gifted that membership. So thank you, Catherine, and welcome, Alabama Nana. Enjoy your month's free membership. Go and check out the members area.
So, and they even drained it and still walked it.
Okay, so they actually walked it. I didn't.
So they drained it and still walked it. So Trey says so. They actually walked it. Trey also walked it. That's why I'm confident that Sebastian's body is not in that pond. That's what I am confident about.
Know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that is actually information that was told to me by law enforcement.
Yeah. So they actually.
Because I went on me and law enforcement, they could put me in a vehicle.
Right.
Drove me around and showed me a bunch of stuff. I'm the only one that they got that.
So they drove him around showing him a bunch of stuff. So law enforcement drove Chris round. I don't know when, but showed him a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So I can actually give you a little bit more information than what everybody's out there running their mouth.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going public with it.
No.
Quite honestly, I'm tired of the BS and the rumors.
That's what I.
The stuff he's not going public with, and he's tired of the BS.
I kept trying to tell everybody. I was like, it's the kid. Anyway, I said he left the house, and then the internet went crazy with rumors and speculation. And I was like, I don't go off of rumors. I go off of what we got now. And I said something about that pond. I said, and it just stopped. I said, so that's where I want to go. That's where I want to search and try to figure this out.
So to work backwards from the pond.
All right, so he starts talking about the dogs now. So prick your ears up.
Okay, if you were to walk from the pond, go straight up into the construction site, you'll see where they cut the road and it turns left. If you walk that all the way back, runs into our subdivision.
Okay. Right, so if we look at that on the map, so actually I'll use this one. So there, the road cuts. So this is a retention pond. The road cuts, the road bears left. And if you keep going, that goes into their subdivision. That's Kelling Lane there. All right, so look at on this map where I can move it. So retention pond's there. There's a road there that's actually a road now, but you can go up there. And then this is Kelling Lane. So you can then go down Kelling, and then this is Sebastian's house here. So that's how the like the roads tie together now. Like they didn't then. They didn't in February. They didn't tie together then because this road wasn't in, but it is now. So the two subdivisions are now linked. But that's where Chris is talking about. Cameo, thank you for joining. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome. Is that Cassie snoring? Yeah, it's always Cassie snoring. She's a big snorer.
If you go down Kelling, all the way down to Stafford, and walk down towards Stafford, toward our house. From our house.
All right, so this is the direction he was told that some of the dogs went in.
If you're looking at my house, I'm going to tell you where the dogs went. They started on the front porch.
Okay.
Because off the front porch, the dogs cut to the right. They go all the way down the side of the house along the fence.
So they went to the back side, or that
right
to the north.
If you're looking at my house,
Okay.
it's going to be the right-hand side. The dog goes all the way down the fence. The dog comes all the way back up into the yard, and then it cuts diagonally to the house next door to us through their backyard.
All right, so the dog goes from Sebastian's house. So this one's actually Sebastian's house here. So from the front porch, which is here, the dog goes down the back fence, but then comes back and goes diagonally through the neighbour's backyard. So presumably this neighbour's backyard, right? And then cuts off. Now, I don't know whether it goes through there or whether it goes down here, but it goes up Kelling and then straight to the retention pond. That's what Chris is going to tell you. Okay.
And that is the direction which the dogs take off. Now, after that, that's where they get over to the main road, go up Kelling, and head over to the other subdivision.
Okay.
All right. So they go over to the main road, go up Kelling. It says Kelling, it's mixed off here, and over to the other subdivision. So dogs, scent-specific dogs. Remember, these are scent-specific dogs from Sumner County EMA that started off at the house, went from the front porch, down the back, but then came back and then cut through the neighbour's backyard and then kind of went to the road and then up Kelling and to the construction site and... Let's carry on.
I know.
They've had dogs.
How many? Yeah, a lot of dogs.
But day one, there was 5 dogs. There was a Belgian Malinois, a blue heeler, 2 bloodhounds, and a blue tick.
All right. So day one, there was 5 dogs. Now, I don't think he's counting Max here because Max came very early. Max arrived on scene around 7:45, and Max is a German Shepherd. I think he's talking about the dogs from Sumner County, the dogs that I think they came like in the afternoon, like this. They all those dogs came in the afternoon, and then there was other dogs that came in the days preceding. So Chris rhymes off a Belgian Malinois, which is this kind of dog, not a German Shepherd, this kind of dog. A blue heeler, which are like a cattle dog, so another herding breed. 2 bloodhounds and a blue tick coonhound. So if you know your dogs, coonhounds are a cousin of the bloodhound. Okay. So those were the 5 dogs that Chris recalls.
I know with good dogs, like they'll do the track that's on the ground, and then if they smell a stronger scent in the air that's closer, they'll go to that direct scent. So if all the dogs were tracking actually on the ground, then I feel like this is the play, like the spot to figure it out. Because if he would have cross-tracked, like actually like headed back, they should have been able to pick up on it.
Not necessarily, Trey. A lot of dogs are confused, like a cross-track. So a cross-track is where somebody turns round and heads back in the direction of which they came. If they follow their direct track back, that is confusing to a dog. Now, if they turn round and they're going in the general direction, like they do a U-turn, then that's fine. The dog will do that turn. If they're tracking like nose down the scent on the ground, they'll do that U-turn. However, let's carry on.
A good dog.
So, in the 8 days of the variance in searching, in the 8 days, on day 1, the 5 dogs did that. Out of the 8 days, 3 different dogs from 3 different groups went to that same area and that same scent. On day 1,
all right, so 8 days. Now, the Sumner County dogs were just one team. You got your binoculars out. So you've got Max from Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Then you've got the 5 dogs on day 1, which I assume at least some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them were Sumner County EMA dogs. But then there was various teams that turned, like there was loads of different teams. So the vast majority of the dogs that turned up on scene didn't track the track that is across the neighbour's backyard, up Kelling, and to the retention pond. It was just three out of all of the dogs who did that. But that's significant in itself.
2 of those dogs did the same path.
2 of those dogs did the same path. 2 of those dogs did the same path. So the path that you explained.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that was the bloodhound and the blue tick.
So he's pretty sure that was the bloodhound and the blue tick. Now, the bloodhounds, of every single dog breed, bloodhounds have the best sense of smell. If you want a tracker who will put their nose down, who are completely and totally focused, like their only aim in life is to track, then use a bloodhound. A coonhound, being a relative of the bloodhound, they're almost as good, right? So it's interesting that a bloodhound and a blue tick both followed the same track. When was this recorded? This was put out on April the 9th. I don't know when the call was recorded, though. I assume maybe that day or the day before. I don't know exactly when this was put out. You've got a coonhound. Cool. Blue ticks are cold scented. They only get past smells. Well, that's what we want. Because by the time the Sumner County EMA dogs turn up, these are quite old tracks. But did all 3 jump in the pond? Unknown. They went to the pond. So they followed the same track. So where Max ran, so Max didn't start from the house. Max started here. So, but once a dog has gone from the house, across the neighbour's backyard, up Kelling, they get to here. And then they follow the same track to the pond.
It was probably a better dog.
And he says they're probably better dogs. Well, depends on what you want your dog to do. If you want your dog to put their nose down and are able to follow an old scent, then dogs like bloodhounds, blue ticks, or there's not necessarily just blue ticks, but coonhounds in general, are going to be the dogs that are going to really work for you. Dogs like Malinois and German Shepherds and Springers, they're fantastic dogs, but they use all the senses. I mean, Springers are mainly nose-based, honestly. Like having got a Springer, they're mainly nose-based, but Cassie does her scent. But I think when a scent gets old, and every minute matters, and I'm going to play you something in a few minutes from a search and rescue person who's talking about every minute matters when it comes to tracking. Thank you, Ipsy, for the £5. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Every minute matters. That track is getting older and decaying and being blown around by the wind. So by the time, a scent is a few hours old, not all dogs are going to be able to find that track. They might find pockets because the wind blows the scent all over the place. So they might find pockets of scent that they're interested in, but it's not a continuous track, especially as the majority of that track was on an artificial road, which I've talked about a billion times, too many. Did it rain on the 27th? I think so, yes. I think it did. I know it dropped really cold, like 27th into 28th. I think the 28th was really bad, like for weather. Like the 26th, like the 25th was warm. So the night of the 25th into the 26th was warm. Like the lowest temperature, I think, was something like 57 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was warm. And then it stayed warm on the 26th. And then it started to drop really cold. Like the weather turned. Like the 26th into the 27th was cold. And then 27th, 28th was really cold. And raining as well.
Yeah, those two were probably the better ones. Now, the guy, man, I can't remember this guy. I called him Michael, but I think they call him Michelle.
Okay.
He's French. He's out of North Carolina, I believe, and he trains.
He teaches, he trains canine handlers.
Yes. They brought his dogs out, and one of his dogs did that same path.
All right, so a guy from North Carolina brought his dogs. So like this experienced tracker person who trains trainers brought his dogs out, and one of his dogs did the same path. Now, I don't know what breed that dog was. So we know that a bloodhound, a blue tick coonhound, and another dog of an undescript breed did the same path. That's hugely significant, given that every minute matters when you're talking about tracking.
From what I was told, that's why I was like, well, there we go, folks. That's why out of all the dogs, there was at least 3 consistent hits that do that
Right.
path.
And then went to the strongest path, the strongest, most recent scent.
And there was a couple dogs, like one dog went over to Long Hole Pike and got there and he lost his scent. The rest of the dogs all picked up scent, but then they go in all different directions and they lose.
So the other dogs picked up scent, then went in all different directions. Well, you know why that is? It's because the majority of the track was on a road, an artificial surface. And if you've heard me talking about dogs in the past, you will know that scent on an artificial surface or any hard surface, like, or it's very windy, that scent dissipates very quickly. Right? Scent comes off your body, it falls to the ground, or it goes off into the air. The stuff that falls onto the ground is likely what a dog who's primarily like a bloodhound, who has his nose to the ground the whole time, is following. Now, there are other dogs who will nose scent, but they'll use air scent as much as nose scent, so or ground scent. Pointers, for example, they're quite well known, like English pointers, quite well known for being good trackers, but they're big air scenters. Do we have Trey's comments after the call ends? Probably, but I don't have them loaded up in this live stream. So, have I heard the recorded audio with Bobby that was released on Jay's? Yes, did a video about it the other day. Bonkers Bobby. So check back the video from a couple of days ago. So, yeah, this scent on this road will have dissipated very quickly. Depending on the wind direction, the scent will pool. The scent will pool in areas like, let's have a look. This is pretty open. But areas like this, so it depends on the wind direction, right? If the wind is blowing this way, like away from the direction that they need to go in, that's an even bigger problem, because that scent is being blown in the opposite direction than your dog actually needs to go in. That's a massive problem. But then you'll get scent pooling in areas where there's like bushes, and you'll get blown up driveways. Again, it's all dependent on wind direction. But the fact that this is a long straight road on artificial surface, that's difficult for a dog after a few hours. Now, if you're working on a surface like grass or mud, that scent beds in, and that scent can be there for days, many days, and unless it's disturbed, it can remain there for days and days. And yes, of course, it does degrade, but a dog can follow that track days and days after. But the fact that you've got these different surfaces is a problem, because you're starting off on a natural surface that will hold scent really well. And then once you got onto the road, that scent is going to weaken and dissipate very quickly. So the dog is going to get confused. The dog's going to get to here, is going to get confused wherever Sebastian popped out, whether it's here or here. The dog's going to get confused, and it's going to go all over the place trying to find that scent again. And then it's going to find a pocket of scent, and then it's like, right, I've got something, and then it'll get confused again. So the handler will have to keep stopping and starting that dog. But as long as they're going in that same direction, it doesn't matter if they have to be stopped and started. The fact that they're still continuing to pick up pockets of scent is significant. But most people, unless you know your dogs, most people won't recognize that. Some handlers won't even recognize that. Can I show the track the 3 separate dogs follow? Yes, I've showed you. So look, I've gone through this. I could talk about this in my sleep. I've gone through it that many times, but people just don't listen. And I'm not shouting at you, whoever asked that question. I'm not shouting at you. It's just 10 months down the line, it's getting a little bit old that people just don't realize this. So from the front porch here, down the fence, across the neighbour's backyard, diagonally, across the neighbour's backyard. So we don't know whether Sebastian popped out here or here or here, but onto Kelling, up Kelling, all the way up Kelling, onto the construction site, then did a right here to the retention pond. It's significant that Max, the German Shepherd, started here and did a brisk trot and then dove into the pond. It's very significant that Max did that an hour after Sebastian was reported missing. And then in the days following, 3 different dogs, a bloodhound, a blue tick coonhound, and a dog of unknown breed, all followed the same path. Came out, started on the front porch, down the fence, across the neighbour's backyard, onto Kelling, up Kelling, to the construction site and to the pond. But there were many dogs who were out there, many different teams, and only those 3 dogs, a bloodhound, a blue tick coonhound, and another dog of an unknown breed, followed that same path. That in itself is significant, because as the hours and the days tick by, it gets more and more difficult for dogs to track a consistent direction. What they'll have is pockets of scent. So they'll have a pocket here, they'll have a pocket here, they'll have a pocket here. So you're moving your dog, you're stopping and starting your dog, and you've got to be very, very vigilant. How long does scent stay around? It depends on the wind, the weather conditions, and the surface on which the scent was laid. So on an artificial surface like a road, especially when you've got a lot of disturbance. So on the morning of the 26th, there was all the police vehicles, there was police officers walking up and down this road. So any scent that Sebastian left during the night is going to be hugely disturbed on that artificial surface. On areas that are not disturbed, on areas that are not artificial surfaces, so things like grass, mud, that scent can stay around for days. The longest known successful track of any dog was a bloodhound who managed to find 2 hikers who'd gone missing 13 days after they'd gone missing. Unfortunately, they were deceased when they were found, but at least their families got them back and, you know, didn't have to worry for months and years on end about where they'd gone. So it was 13 days after they'd gone missing, a bloodhound did that. But I'm guessing that was optimal conditions. I'm guessing that was all natural surface, probably woodland or hill, you know, heather, bracken, that kind of stuff will really hold scent in. So in a woodland, you've got a really good chance of following a track that's days and days and days old. But that's an exceptional dog to track 13 days after. I would say probably within a week, the vast majority of dogs, even if the track was laid under optimal conditions, would no longer be able to follow a track. But on an artificial surface, you're looking at a matter of hours before that track is practically useless, apart from pockets of scent that might have been like captured by foliage or have fallen to the ground. And it largely will depend on wind direction as well, like what direction the wind was blowing in. Not at the time the track is being done, but at the time that Sebastian walked by. Because that scent is being blown around. I do have the patience for scent, absolutely. Would the scent be the one after the pond is drained? Would the scent be the one after the pond is drained? Bluefish, I don't know what you mean. Because the track is on here, not it doesn't matter that the pond was drained. For the dogs to follow the track from the house to the construction site, it doesn't matter what happened at the pond. But Max dove into the pond like an hour after Sebastian was reported missing. Max dove into the pond before it was drained. Like they drained the pond because Max dove into it. Did the scent from the house lead them to these woods? No, it didn't lead them to woods. It led them to the construction site. Here. And the retention pond's here. The woods are way up here and down here. All right. Okay, moving on. Now, there's some confusion. There's 2 bits of confusion. There's a confusion about what Ken Widener meant by this comment. Now, on February 29th, as we've already heard, where is he? Here we are. On February 29th, as we've already heard, Yvonne, the member for 26 months. Thank you. Scent scattered by the site machines. Scent can be scattered by vehicles. It can be disturbed by other people walking on top of it, by animals, anything, the wind, anything. But definitely, yeah, machinery, absolutely, 100%. All right, so Ken Widener here said that their dogs, the Sumner County MA dogs, are scent specific. They used articles of Sebastian's from the home and they cast the dogs at intersections but didn't get any kind of direction, but they did get some tracks away from the home. right? So that meshes with what Chris told Trey from North Divers. Now, Chris was told by one of the handlers that that's what happened. Chris was out there, like, taking all that information, like he was listening and taking all that information in. Because we can't have nice things on the internet because people are just such, nonsense spreaders. Chris hasn't told us, anybody. Chris hasn't said some of the things that he knows, and I don't blame him, quite honestly. But yeah, that's what he did say to Trey in April, and that meshes with what Ken Widener said in February. However, then Ken Widener in another interview. Now, I can't find the original interview, but this came out 5 days ago. And it's News Channel 5 Nashville. This is Nick Barris, who's followed the case like from the beginning. He's the one who knows the sheriff. He's the one who knows Ken Widener. He gets interviews with them. So 5 days ago, News Channel 5 Nashville put this little kind of compilation piece together. I think it was probably to mark the 10 months of Sebastian being, mind you, 5 days ago, this would be New Year. Yeah, all right. But 5 days ago, they released this. And this little clip from Ken Widener that confused me at the time. It confuses everybody. I think I know what he means. I've talked about this recently. I talked about this in a video a couple of days ago, but we're going to talk about it again right now. So this is what Ken Widener said. So he goes on about the search, and then there's a little bit like a sentence that's really confusing. So that is really confusing. None of them were on a trail that were following Sebastian. So it's like, well, there was no scent. Should there be sound? Oh, is it gone? Oh, it's gone. Oh, I thought we were doing well. All right, we'll play that one again. All right, so what we got to do is we got to stop the share. We got to reshare. It's so annoying. I wish StreamYard would sort out this problem. All right. It should be okay now. I'll go back. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's this one. All right. Go back to the... All right. It's StreamYard, yeah. StreamYard, it drops the audio. Like, it regularly drops the audio from things that you're playing. It's been a pain. It's longer than several days. It's I think several months that this has been an issue. Certainly for me. Like, it can be working absolutely fine, and then it goes, and then you have to basically start the screen share again, and then it comes back. It's weird. It's weird. It's just a glitch. All right, play that again.
Crews on foot and drones, divers searched ponds, spelunkers were called in to check sinkholes.
The white dots are caved and they've all been searched.
Bloodhounds and cadaver dogs were used, but contrary to some reports,
None of them, my understanding, were actually on a trail that was following Sebastian.
search
None of them were on a trail that was following Sebastian. Now, that confused me. I think it's a bad choice of words. And I think if he'd used the words that he used at the press conference, there wouldn't have been the amount of confusion that there's been. So at the press conference, he said they got some tracks away from the house, but none of them led us to Sebastian, obviously. Here, he says none of them were following Sebastian at all, which is very definite and final. So none of the dogs, to my understanding, were on a track that was following Sebastian. I think it's just a bad choice of words. Also, we don't see what he said immediately after. We only see what the news channel puts out. So I just think it's a bad choice of words. However, SF Investigates has made the situation even more confusing. So this is SF here, and this is from, this is SF. This is from just a day ago. This is Cluminati's channel. So nearly 2 days ago now, on the 3rd. So I hadn't watched this. So last night when I did my live stream and I played the new video from SF, I hadn't seen this. So somebody told me to go and watch it, so I have. So we've got a couple of points here that SF makes that are potentially very confusing. So we're going to play them. So one's at the 2 hours and 28 minute mark, and then a few minutes later. So SF is on answering questions, basically. So this is Cluminati. Buttermelts when it's hot, kid. To go on. I didn't watch this initially because I thought, oh, this is some kind of drama thing. So I'm glad that whoever it was who directed me to this told me to watch it. Because it started off with Cluminati being angry and swearing and whatever. And then Stephen Crabtree came on, and then SF came on. And when SF came on, he answered a load of questions. So it's useful to watch from the point where SF comes on. All right, so this is what he said about the dogs.
Canines did come through. There was some areas of the canines seemed to be interested in. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, so there were areas that they seemed interested in. I'll leave it at that. But then he continues in a minute.
Snowflake says.
Let me say one thing about the canines too.
All right, he's going to say something else about the canines. Thank you, 9 thumbs up for the gifted membership, and DC Primetime. You're a winner. You're a winner. You're a winner. So, yeah, check out the members area, and thank you so much for gifting that membership. Is it just because the dogs went in that north direction that handlers and law enforcement think the track were made in that direction? Yeah, they followed the dogs. Was it possible the track was made going southward instead? Well, if the track was made going southward, the dogs surely would have gone southward. You would have thought. You would have thought. Once SF came on, it calmed down and got really interesting really fast. Yes, it did. Because the first, 2 and a bit hours, I just basically clicked through. Like, click, 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 click. So when Stephen came on, it calmed down a bit. But then when SF came on, it calmed down very quickly. And it became very interesting. All right. So he goes on about the dogs a little bit more.
One thing that I have found with this video surveillance is that the canine information is not exactly like we may have thought. I'll say this. After watching and being able to see, keep in mind, I can see out over the construction site and everything. I very much agree with the way Ken from EMA, Sumner County EMA, framed it, that did not appear that any canines had a strong tracking line, let's say.
All right, so Ken Widener saying that none of them in his understanding were following Sebastian is different from him saying at the press conference that they got tracks away from the house, but none of them led them to Sebastian. Obviously, none of them led them to Sebastian because Sebastian's still missing. Those mean two different things. I think, again, that Ken Widener's wording could have been better on that interview that he had with Nick Barris. But I would like to see what he said immediately before and immediately after that, because the news clip things. So I don't exactly know what SF is talking to me, but I am very interested in what SF has seen on the surveillance. And he seems to believe that the line that we've been like talking about, so the line that goes from the house across the neighbour's backyard, up Kelling, to the construction site and to the pond, isn't exactly a line. But remember, when Chris said this to Narc Divers, Chris said that there was many dogs out there. Like in the first 8 days, there was many dogs out there. Only 3 of them. That's significant in itself. Don't get me wrong. The fact that 3 different dogs followed the same track and it joined the track that Max used just an hour after Sebastian was reported missing is hugely significant to me. But the majority of the dogs could not get like a consistent track. Did they use cadaver dogs? Yes. It's my understanding that none of the cadaver dogs got any scent at all, either at the house, in the yard, or anywhere. That's my understanding, that all the dogs that got hits were live scent trackers. So that's something else you've got to consider, that some of the dogs that were out there that SF might have seen on surveillance would have been cadaver dogs. So they didn't get anything. As far as we know, it was only the live scent trackers, so the dogs that are tracking a live person, that got anything. But, you know, without seeing the surveillance footage, I've already got SF's words and my understanding of dogs to go from. That's why watching Max and the way that Max moved is very significant to me. That Max started off like sauntering along, you know, looking around, probably sniffing, hearing stuff, and then he sets off at a trot. That is significant to me, very significant to me. But the fact that then 3 other dogs from different teams followed, like up Kelling and then to that construction site and then followed the same track that Max did, that is huge. That is huge. However, the majority of the dogs did not follow that track. They got sniffs, they got indications, but they did not follow a consistent track. Probably because the majority of the track they needed to do was on an artificial surface. And as I've said, every minute matters when you're talking about tracks that have been laid on artificial surfaces or any hard surface, like rocky areas. Rocks a little bit different because scent pools in like areas, you know, like in little crevices and areas. So rocks not too bad. But on an artificial surface like a road, especially one that is being travelled by loads of vehicles, by other people, that track is going to have been blown all over by the wind. It's going to have dissipated very, very quickly. So it's a wonder that any dog got a consistent track. So I think what SF saw was dogs that were finding pools of scent, like little pockets of scent, but weren't able to actually put their nose down and follow one consistent track. Because after the first few hours, that one consistent track just wasn't there anymore. But it's incredibly significant. So I wouldn't downplay too much the dog scent. I really wouldn't.
They may have scented on something. I don't know if Max is a scent specific dog, or I think Max is a force protection dog that also has can pick up a general scent. In other words,
So again, Max, the German Shepherd, not a Belgian Malinois, German Shepherd, according to this post here by this organisation, is a non-aggressive tracker and narcotics detection dog. recently have successfully tracked a suicidal case safely. So Max tracks missing persons. So he might do protection work, but he is largely the grant that Sumner County got. They got 2 dogs from this grant. Where's that? Where's that gone? Oh, there it is. They got 2 dogs from this grant. One of them Max, one of them Rex, also not a Malinois. Both of them doing non-aggressive tracking and narcotics detection. So he's not primarily a protection dog. He might do protection work, but primarily his work is non-aggressive tracking and narcotics detection. But whether he had assigned articles of Sebastian's on that day is unknown. But what we absolutely do know from Ken Widener, that the dogs that they have at Sumner County MA are scent specific. And we absolutely know that those dogs were given scent articles of Sebastian's. We know absolutely that is the case. All right, back to this.
Of any human scent, like if he's looking for somebody, I don't know if he's scent specific, and I don't think that they had actually pulled a scent article that early in the morning. I could be wrong, but from what I see with Max, I think Max.
There was time for Max's handler to have gone to the house and asked Katie for a sock or something of Sebastian's. There was time, but we don't know whether Max was just looking for general scent. Would cadaver dogs get confused at a trash dump site to find a body? Depends what that trash had in it. Sometimes, like new dogs, get confused if there's animal remains, especially pig remains, because pigs and humans have got a very similar body composition, like fat composition. So that can confuse them. Also, sewage can confuse them. But general trash, no. Max is very handsome. He is very handsome. Surely Max had to have a scent source to track to. Not necessarily, because one thing that you can do with a dog is just get them to track any human scent, any strong human scent. So it could well be that Max tracked the strongest human scent that happened to be there at that time, which likely from that direction, likely would have been Sebastian, given what we know about the other dogs. Does the neighbour Bobby know what time the trash pickup was that morning? I don't know that Bobby knows, but I wouldn't believe a word she says. So there's that.
Is just looking for a scent, not a specific scent. The other canines that I see don't look like they're on a tracking line to me. It looks like the handlers are trying to see if they can get the canines on a tracking line, but it doesn't look to me like they have a scent. So I agree with him that there might not have been, it might not have tracked a specific line.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. The line might be that dissipated because the majority of that line is on an artificial surface, that what the dog's doing is picking up pockets of scent, but the handler's having to keep stop, start, because they're picking up a pocket here and a pocket there and a pocket there. So it's not the same kind of work as a dog just putting their nose down and running, like we saw Max doing. Like Max just put his nose down and was just trotting along, like in a very direct way, because he was on a strong scent. But it's different when the scent has been kind of blown around and dissipated, and then he's a pocket here, a pocket there, a pocket there. The dog is going to go from one pocket to another pocket to another pocket, so it's going to look somewhat chaotic. But what I'm interested in is the direction that those dogs are going. I'm also interested in the wind direction. Bobby's the neighbour who's just completely lying, totally lying. He did a video about her the other day. I'm not going to spend too much time on Bobby in the future. All right, so a couple of minutes later, he says a little bit more. Go to here.
And so he's a police dog. He's like a dog that.
All right, maybe I'll just play it through. I don't know why I did that. Well, I don't know why I jumped. But anyway.
Get like a pillowcase or sock.
All right, I'm going to go back. I don't know why I jumped.
You know, it's just the kids hiding stuff like machinery and whatnot. And but those things were running the whole time. Bulldozers. And that's really kind of frightening to me.
No,
If anybody,
that's for sure. If they keep working, because
I do think it's absolutely insane. I do think it's absolutely insane that they did not shut that construction site. If I'd have turned up, if I was Max's handler and I'd have turned up with my dog to search for a missing person and that there was a construction site going on, I would have gone to those construction workers and I've said, excuse me, can you stop? And you know, there's a missing person. We think he might be on, you know, one of the places he comes is the construction site. We need to search this area. And if they completely refuse to stop, then I'd have told my superior that there was suspicious activity going on at that construction site because they were obstructing justice, potentially, because we don't know what on earth happened to Sebastian, so potentially obstructing justice, and I would have got them into trouble. I would have made them stop that work, at least while my search was going on. I don't know whether they could stop them for days and days on end. I don't know. There's a law that could stop them doing that, but surely goodwill, you know, would come into play here. At least if they'd stop for the just that morning. It's unbelievable to me that you're seeing on the surveillance video, you're seeing Max, and at the very same time, there's one of those dump trucks in the background dumping a load somewhere on the site. So we absolutely know that Max had to work on a working construction site. Did I see what Stephen Crabtree posted? No. What did he post? Could he have fallen asleep in a truck and something happened to him? Yeah. Yeah. He could have been hiding. So one of SF Investigates, who happens to be called Steve as well, so that's all right. One of his theories is that Sebastian was hiding on the construction site and too scared to come out once like people started to turn up and people were looking for him, and he was hiding, and then unbeknownst to the construction workers, they dumped a load of rubble on him, and he's completely unbeknown to anybody. So the fact that construction site did not stop is insane to me. There's a lot of insanity about this case, but that just takes the absolute biscuit. It really does. I think that's the only fault that law enforcement made. I think the search they did was really good, but not getting that construction site shut down, at least for a day, is a really massive problem. I think the answer is, or at least was, at that construction site, and we've lost that evidence now. So why they didn't stop? I mean, did law enforcement ask them to stop and they refused? If so, I'd have gone to a judge and said, look, what law can we use to get this site stopped? We've got this missing child and they won't stop working. I'd have got the judge involved. I got a DA. I got everybody involved. I'd have made a massive stink about it. But then again, we're looking at this now 10 months down the line with the benefit of hindsight. At that time, they didn't know that this was going to be a case that was going to go on for months and months and months on end. They just assumed they were looking for a missing kid who is probably hiding in the woods somewhere, doesn't want to go to school or something. So, I don't know. Anyway, he goes back briefly to talk about the dogs in a minute.
Because even if, let's just say someone did do something nefarious and, you know, like bury him, they could be just running over, You know what I mean?
Or let's say you're Sebastian and you snuck out, right, for whatever reason. Maybe it was a little later than we thought. Maybe it was like 5:30ish and it was starting to get dark. And then he's like, oh.
Could Sebastian have been placed in the construction site by someone? Technically, yeah. But if I'd murdered somebody, I wouldn't put them in a place where I knew there was going to be workers there. That's not a place I would have gone to hide a body. Because you would assume that once you reported them missing, that work was going to stop. That's what you would assume, because that's what I assumed happened. I assumed that they stopped that construction site at least for one day while they searched it. But no, it's only now, 10 months down the line, that we're now realizing that that work wasn't stopped. So a potential murderer would be really freaking insane to have put a dead body on a construction site where workers were there, numerous workers were there every single day. It would have been a dumb idea to do that. But technically, yeah, I guess criminals do dumb things.
Oh, people are looking for me, or somebody's looking for me, and he hides, in the corner of a retention pond or something, like this stuff that's like, and next thing you know, from the top of a hill, a huge, I hate to talk like that, but
exactly. You wouldn't put them where workers were constantly moving and digging dirt. No, not unless you were one of the workers and you knew which pieces of earth were going to be moved and which weren't. So if you were a construction worker, then yeah, that could be something that you might do. Because if you know that there's an area that's going to be dumped on, like next, then put the body there, hide them under some rubble, and then dump a massive mound of stuff on them. But somebody unconnected to that construction site, like the parents, for example, or a neighbour, for example, it would be incredibly stupid for them to hide a dead body there where there's more people than there are anywhere else in the neighbourhood. It would be really insane to do that.
Watching that happen. And listen, I've talked to Katie and Chris about this. And I know people don't think they do anything, but after seeing this on surveillance and showing them, 10:30 at night before last, they were out there and trying to do measurements and find out exactly what lot this certain one is, so we can possibly run ground penetrating radar. These people are out there. Like I told them about it, and 10 minutes later, they're out there, in the middle of the night, like crawling around in the dirt, trying to figure out exactly what it is. So,
SF, will you do something for me real quick? Because Kit Wagner did the same thing on News Channel 5. Clarify the scent in dogs.
All right, so he's back on dogs now for a couple of minutes.
It wasn't that they tracked on a scent. You're better at explaining this, so I don't.
So it depends it depends how dog's trained, really, right? So Max is not a traditional search and rescue dog. So
except he is though. He is though. Because he's a German Shepherd, I think SF's assuming that he's just a police dog because he's a German Shepherd. Now, he might do general police work, but his training is of non-aggressive tracking. So that's human tracking and narcotics detection. That's his training. So, I could only say what I can find on the internet about Max. That's all I can find about him. And he's got his picture on the Sumner County Sheriff's Office website, which is what's on the thumbnail.
Rescue dogs, they'll be trained for like tracking. Like, so in other words, what we do is search and rescue first shows up. What we'll do is we'll send people that are specifically trained, that are either canine handlers or flankers, to get a scent article. And so we go to where the missing person lives, and we usually try to get like a pillowcase or socks or underwear, stuff like that hasn't been touched by anybody else, and we collect it in paper bags, and then we take control of that. It goes to the handler, and the handler will scent the dog, give it the scent, and then the handler and the usually 2 flankers or so are on their way to try to pick up the line.
Right, so that's what I'm calling a scent-specific search dog. So tracking and trailing are 2 technically different things. I use the terms interchangeably because generally people do. But a scent-specific search dog is what he's just described. The dogs from Sumner County EMA and then the dogs that came after them are all scent-specific. And they got articles from Sebastian's house that only Sebastian touched, and that's what they were tracking. There are other types of search dog, though. There are tracker dogs that don't necessarily need one particular scent. They will go after any human scent that isn't a member of their party. So the handler's scent or the flanker's scent or the other people in their group that they know, they're looking for any original human scent and they will follow that. Michelle is right as far as information on the internet in regard of Max. That's all I can go from. That's all I can go from. How old are Bobby's kids? They're teenagers. I don't know exactly how old they are. There are many other types of scent detection dogs. And dogs can be trained for one thing or they can be trained for multiple things. Max is trained for multiple things. He can do human tracking, non-aggressive tracking, and he can also do narcotics work. So he'll be trained to detect a variety of illicit substances. Normally it's things like opiates, cannabis, if it's illegal in the area, cocaine, a variety. Stuff that, you know, people sell, people deal, people consume that are illegal. There's also dogs that do explosives detection, so detect bombs. They can detect weapons. They can detect electronics, things like phones, hard drives, SD cards. You can train your dog to detect anything, really. So you can train your dog to detect anything. If your dog likes doing it, you can get them to do anything. But those are the things that tend to be used by law enforcement. Your dog is a full German Shepherd. He's a sable, light Rex, and often confused with a Malinois. Yeah. Could it be that Max's handler wasn't trained in using Max for SAR work? No, he was. He absolutely was. I don't see where you get that from, Janice. Yeah. He was working with Deputy Justin Rice.
But there's also force protection dogs, which are police dogs, right? That's what Max really is. Max was.
He might be a general purpose dog, but his training is in non-aggressive tracking and narcotics. He might also do general police work. He might do.
Purchased. I know I looked him up. He's a purchaser or donated by grant from a training facility, like a year and a half, I think, before. And so he's a police dog. He's like a dog that will. He's a force protection. He'll take down people too, right? So
well, he might do because he's a German Shepherd, and German Shepherds love doing that kind of thing. I had a dog who was mainly collie. She was 3/4 collie, 1 part German Shepherd. Like her mother was a sheepdog, like a border collie, like a full border collie, and her dad was half collie, half German Shepherd. But Ginty, she hated sheep. She didn't herd. She was rubbish. She didn't herd, but she was a fantastic protection dog. Like she took all the German Shepherd side of her ancestry on board. Fantastic dog, absolutely brilliant dog. And I trained her to take people down and track people and then hold them, take people down. She was absolutely brilliant. She was amazing all-around dog. She really was. I remember one night, I was a teenager when I trained Ginty to do all this kind of stuff, right? One night I was walking home because I used to walk home. We used to, every Friday night, me and my boyfriend at the time, used to go to this bar where they had like a DJ and stuff. And Ginty used to come with me. She used to sit outside and wait. And my boyfriend used to go off in one direction, I went off on the other. And I walked down this kind of long road with trees on either side, right? And Ginty was never on a lead. She never had a lead on. So she was just kind of wandering along in the tree line. And then she just stopped and absolutely focused, just started barking. And it was her alert bark. Like there's someone there. This is her alert bark. So I stopped. I looked. I couldn't see anything because I'm a human and dogs just think humans are disabled. So I shouted. I said, look, I know you're in there. Come out or I'm going to set my dog on you. And this guy came out and he went, oh, your dog's good. Your dog's really good. It's like, what are you doing in there? It's like, oh, I'm just walking. It's like, okay, all right, whatever. I bet he was having a pee and then he heard Ginty barking and was too scared to come out. But Ginty knew he was there. And she didn't have to take him down, but I absolutely would have sent her in. And I trained her on the right arm and it was a hold. And if they resisted, it was a takedown. And she was incredibly good at it. Or a poop, yeah, or a poop. The greatest weapon on earth she was. I've still got some of her hair, like her fur. I've still got some of her fur. I'm waiting for the time when they can clone a dog from fur. Because at the moment, they need skin cells, like an actual patch of skin. But once they can clone a dog from fur, then I will be donating Ginty's fur to get a clone. And you think I'm kidding, but Ginty died in 1997. So back then, cloning was just a potential, something that they might be able to do at some point in the future. But I was that confident that they'd be able to clone that I saved a whole bunch of her fur. And I've still got it. I'm still waiting. All right.
There are dogs that are trained just to pick up a human scent. In other words, okay, there's a bad guy in that direction, pick up a scent, find any scent. And so I think that
Yeah, so general centers, like that's what they do. So for like police dogs who turn up at a scene and a bad guy runs away, then they just send the dog. And that dog isn't given a scent article or anything like that. Or somebody who's gone missing, like a hiker, somebody who's out there who's gone missing. They might not have a scent article from that person to start from. So they just send the dog and that dog finds a fresh track of human scent and they follow that. Now in a protection capacity, that dog is following a potential offender, and once they find them, they will hold them. They will hold them there. But a non-aggressive tracker is a dog who doesn't go up to somebody and grabs them and takes them down on finding them. So I can only say what I can see on the internet about Max.
I don't know for sure because on Sumner County, you can see they have a website where you can see their dogs. TBI only has bomb sniffing dogs, and they have electronic sniffing dogs for like sniffing out hard drives and stuff like that. They don't.
That's what Cassie can do. Cassie can do electronics. She can do phones. She can do SD cards. She could do hard drives. I haven't tried it with a hard drive. I might do that. I might see if she can find a hard drive. I'm sure she can. If she can find a little tiny SD card, I'm sure she can find a hard drive. Like, to me, they don't smell of anything, but to a dog, they absolutely do. Smell of, I don't know, whatever.
That's the only kind of dogs that TBI has. So Sumner counties, they're usually the scent dogs are usually labs or hounds, and so
I mean, they are in America. In the UK, though, most of the scent detection dogs to do things like bombs, weapons, drugs, electronics, the vast majority of them nowadays are Springer Spaniels. There's a few labs, and they don't use hounds anymore. It's a long time since I've seen a bloodhound doing police work in the UK. Maybe they do have a few, but I don't know. It's Springer Spaniels because they're small, they're eager to work, they're easy to train, and they're long-lived and tend to have very few health problems. And they're not stubborn like bloodhounds. I'm sorry, I love bloodhounds. I love them, but they're stubborn as hell. All right.
The shepherds, which is what Max is, are usually more force protection. I don't think Max is trained as a search and rescue dog. He is though. Now, whether he's trained to do scent specific work is another matter. He might not do scent specific work, but we absolutely know from Ken Wider himself that their dogs, the bloodhound, the blue tick coonhound, the other dogs that were there on scene after Max were all scent specific. So there's that. So he says a little more, but I'm going to leave it there because I've been on here a long time. There's one more thing I do want to show you though, and it's this. Now, this is a missing 17-year-old from Las Vegas. She's missing right now. She's been missing since, I think, the 30th of December. So I've been following her case quietly. And no, I'm not switching cases. This is still about Sebastian. I am going to do a video. If she's not found in the next day or two, I am going to do a video on her. Her name is Jenna Leah Hinn. So Jenna Leah, all one word, but she's known as Jenna. And then her surname is Hinn. And she had an argument with her parents. She ran out of the house and she didn't come back. So they reported her missing. And they had surveillance video from the house showing her running away. So they know absolutely that she's out there. There's no foul play expected on behalf of the parents or anything like that. She's on surveillance running away. And a dog has got a scent of her in the desert. She's run off into the desert. So this is a press conference that was held a day ago, nearly 2 days ago now. They actually did 2 press conferences in one day, but because they did a press conference saying that they got a track of her in the desert and that they were going in a particular direction. Then they came back a few hours later and did another press conference saying that they'd had some sightings of her. So at least by the 3rd of January, they were still assuming that she was alive. But it's what he says. His name is Mark Shear, I think his name is, or Steer. And he's the search and rescue person. So he's the equivalent of Ken Widener in Jenna Leah's case. And he talks about the dogs. And it's so incredibly important to listen to what a search and rescue expert says about a dog track. So he says this at first. This is just his initial spiel to the press. And then he says a little bit more later on. So he's just talking about, what they've done and then this track.
4x4s and K9 team. The reason that we're out here today in the desert area is one of our K9 dogs was able to pick up a scent, and the scent was going southbound. So we're exhausting all of our resources and all those available to us searching in that area. I want to really confirm that we're here on behalf of Henderson PD.
All right, so he goes on about different organizations. So the dog got a track from Gennalia. So this would be a scent-specific track of Gennalia going south. Now, it's what he says next that is incredibly, incredibly important.
Pardon? Picked up a scent yesterday about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, the dog picks up a scent. The scent loses quality.
Hold on. I've got it on. Start that again. See, it was on. So the question was something about the dog. I didn't hear the question, but he says that the dog picked up the track yesterday, so that would be the 2nd, around 2 p.m.
Picked up the scent yesterday about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
How exactly does that process work?
Well, the dog picks up a scent. The scent loses quality really every minute after the track is laid. So the dog picked it up. It was going southbound in the desert here, and we followed till the dog became exhausted and had to stop. So we picked that up again this morning, but the track is old now and not very good.
All right, so that dog, I believe, was tracking Gennalia. I absolutely believe that dog was tracking Gennalia. But listen to what he said, that every minute since that track is laid, that track is degrading. Spear, thank you. Thank you, Mike. He's very good, yeah. Very good. Every minute that track is degrading. Now, this is in a desert location. So desert, open, very few plants, hard ground, probably windy. That track is going to dissipate, going to go all over the place. So the fact that a dog managed to track until it was exhausted. Now, I don't know how hot it was out there that day, but tracked until it was exhausted. But when they tried to go back the following day to pick back up, that track was too old. That track was no longer usable. So what they don't know is when Gennalia passed by there. That track could have been 2 days old by the time that dog got to that location where they picked up that track. But why did they pick up that track in that particular location? Why did they not pick up that track before? These are all questions that people who, handle dogs have to grapple with every day. Why do dogs do anything? It's unbeknownst to us because we don't see the world or smell the world like a dog does. Figment, welcome. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. It is a very good nose, yeah. Very good nose. But this is the thing. This is the thing that what happened in Sebastian's case is not unusual. The fact that a dog picks up a pocket of scent and then is able to follow it for a while and then loses it, and then maybe they start the dog again and it picks up another pocket of scent and then has to stop again. That's not unusual. That's perfectly normal in a case where a track is starting to degrade, particularly on an artificial surface like a road. In a desert, I would imagine, now I've never worked in a desert, believe it or not, we don't have deserts in the UK. I kind of wish we had a little bit drier weather than we do in the UK because it's either raining or it's usually raining. So I've never worked in a desert. I've never worked a dog in a desert. So I don't know what the particular challenges are, other than I can imagine that a track is going to dissipate a lot quicker than it is going to do in a woodland. Let's just put it that way. But the fact that that dog picked up a scent in a particular location, I think it's possibly where she slept. So there's like a pocket of scent or something that started that dog off. But we don't know. We don't know. We have to work with the dog And because we can't speak dog, we just have to assume. We just have to assume. Is it 200 or 2,000 times better scenting than ours? It's way beyond that. It's way beyond that. Because we have about 5 to 6 million scent receptors in our nose. A bloodhound has 300 million. 5 to 6 million scent receptors. A bloodhound has got 300 million scent receptors in their nose. German shepherds have about 225 million scent receptors. Is it million or thousand? I always get that confused. But whatever it is, the scent receptors that they've got are hugely in way more than we have. However, we've also got to think about how that scent receptor connects to the brain, because having the scent receptors is irrelevant if the brain can't make sense of it. And the area of the brain that does the sense of smell is 40 times bigger in a dog than in a human. So a dog's primary sense is the sense of smell. So you can't even put it into figures, really, how much better a dog's sense of smell is to ours. Did I hear about they trained an otter? Yes, I've talked about that in a video once. I didn't do a video all about the otter, but I've talked about it previously, yeah. Because otters they're related to dogs. So the brain connection is probably more important than the amount of receptors, because even if we had 300 million or whatever it is, I'm going to look it up. How many scent detection? All right. Oh, it's million. Look. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So we all know dogs have a super sense of smell. Some have 220 million or more olfactory receptors, compared to a puny 5 million for humans. But we could have 300 million. We could have 1 billion scent receptors in our nose. But if our brains can't talk to those receptors, they are pointless. They are pointless. I'm interested to see what websites this is dog time. So let's have a look. So number 1, the bloodhound. This giant hound has 300 million scent receptors, more than any other breed. Basset hound, they're a cousin of the bloodhound. They're like virtually a bloodhound, but they have dwarfism. That's why they're like low. They have almost as many scent receptors as a bloodhound. Beagle. German Shepherd. 225 million scent receptors. Labrador, Belgian Malinois, Springer Spaniel. Now, I would prefer a Springer Spaniel as a scent dog than a Beagle. My neighbour has a Beagle, and all he wants to do is run away, bark. He doesn't seem... I love Beagles, but honestly, I'd prefer a Springer Spaniel than a Beagle. But then again, Coonhound. I think Coonhounds have got a better sense of smell than a German Shepherd or a Mallee. Honestly. Because they're another cousin of the Bloodhound. German Shire Pointer. Pointers have got a very good sense of smell. But they're from the same ancestral line as the Spaniel. English Pointers. So you got German Shorter Pointers and English Pointers. English Pointers are air centers. They do ground scent, but they air scent. That's why they stick the nose in the air and point. Anyhow, yeah. So I am going to do another I'm going to do a video on Jenna Leah's case. If she's not found, like by tomorrow, I'll do a standalone video on Jenna Leah's case. But yeah, just what he said here about the scent track degrading and every minute counts is important for every case, not just Jenna Leah's, not just Sebastian's, but for any case where we're thinking about scent dogs. Let's just remember that. So 60 times more receptors than us. Yeah. Hold on. So we've got like 6 million times 60. Yeah. About 60 times more scent receptors than us. We've got between 5 and 6 million. Dogs have up to 300 million. Now, dogs like bulldogs, French bulldogs, don't expect them to be a good scent dog because their faces have been so deformed and so squashed that they struggle to breathe. They just struggle to breathe. So don't buy a bulldog if you want to train it to do scent work. Not that I've got anything against bulldogs, French bulldogs. They're cute. They're cute, but they struggle to breathe. Like the majority of them suffer from brachycephalic airway obstruction syndrome, or BOAS. And it's really sad. It's really sad. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I've been on here for a long... Actually, I thought I'd been on longer, but I've only been on 2 hours and 70 minutes. But I am still going to go to make this watchable on the replay. And, yeah, so I hope you found this interesting. Not that many people in the chat. 377 watching right now. It's because it's not drama, you see. It's because it's not drama. But anyway, hopefully that has been useful. I can only say what I see. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. No mentioning Bobby's kid. I'm not mentioning Bobby's kid, no. I'm not mentioning Bobby's kid. This is about the scent dogs. The fact that Bobby's kid was out there in the late night hours of the 25th, we don't know whether that's got anything to do with Sebastian or not. He might have just been out there having a sly smoke, meeting his mates, probably up to things that teenagers do. Could he have met Sebastian? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely he could. We can speculate on that. But I wanted to keep this focused just on the dogs today. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to the mods as always. I didn't need slow mode because I don't think we got any trolls in. That's good. That's fine. So sorry if slow mode annoyed you because we didn't really need it. But that's all right. Thank you to those that donated earlier on in the live stream. Welcome to all the new members. Please do go and check out the members area and enjoy the rest of your day. So I shall see you soon. Bye, guys.